What's your favorite scary movie? Be like, I'm dying.
If some guy came up to me and said, "Hey, they guys," I'm like, "It's over and done. We're married now."
Someone in the movie, so I'm like, kiss. But
oh God, what a sea of humanity.
Ba-da-ba. I never know how to transition that, so I just always sing the last part of it over and over again.
I dig it.
It's pretty cool, right? Well, hello and welcome to 52/1994. It's the live movie conversation podcast where we discuss movies from the year 1994. I am your host, Cody, and I'm joined by my co-host once again this week, Alyssa. How are you?
Great, 2 weeks in a row. Let's get
2
it.
weeks in a row. If this is your first time joining us, welcome in. We are so happy for you to join us today. Just to give you a little bit of a heads up, what we're doing here is we're watching 52 movies from the year 1994. Important movies released this year, and we do them by monthly categories. Doesn't matter if they're good or bad. Most of them are somewhere in the middle. And then I have a guest host on to talk about this movie and interview them and see if they've watched anything recently or have done anything recently that they want to talk about. It's their world. I'm just living in it. But this month, we kind of had to mess around with some of the movies a little bit, and we had to kind of cut 1 month short and add one more to this month of comedy movies that we have started with this week's movie, which is called Muriel's Wedding. It's an Australian film. So I will get started talking about that here soon. But Alyssa, have you ever seen this movie before, or have you ever heard of this movie before?
Nope, neither. Never seen or heard of it.
And what was your first impression? You don't have to go too into detail, but yeah, what's your first impression?
I very much enjoyed it. This like genre of movie is right up my alley of like rom-com friendship, hilarity ensues. I really liked it.
Yeah. It's a movie that I think you want to be a romantic movie, but then you realize that the romance is something completely different. Like it's not a typical romance between a couple. Like it's more of a friendship movie than anything. So I love this. I do enjoy this genre, and it's about the friends we made along the way that really matter. Right?
Exactly.
Exactly. Well, let's talk about this movie a little bit more. Again, it's called Muriel's Wedding. It debuted September 29th, 1994. It was written and directed by P.J. Hogan. And the cast includes some people that we've seen in many movies beyond this, but maybe started here. Speaking mostly of Toni Collette as Muriel Heslop, Rachel Griffiths as Rhonda Eppenstall, Bill Hunter as Bill Heslop, Daniel Lapine as David Van Arkel, Jeannie Drynan as Betty Heslop, and Jenny Nevinson as Deidre Chambers. There's a couple other people along the way in this. I've already said that. But probably not any familiar names, just kind of wanted to give the big people their due here. Let me give you a synopsis of this that I pulled right from Google. Haven't read this, so maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong. Socially awkward Muriel Heslop wants nothing more than to get married. Unfortunately, due to her oppressive politician father, Muriel has never been on a date. Ostracized by her more socially adept friends, Muriel runs into fellow outcast Rhonda Eppenstall, and the two move on from their Australian town to the big city of Sydney, where Muriel changes her name and begins the arduous task of redesigning her life to match her fantasies. Not terrible. Not a terrible descriptor there.
Yeah,
I didn't realize. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't know if the reason Muriel hasn't had a date was because of her dad. I think it's because of who Muriel is as a person. But
that's what I was going to say too. And has Muriel never ever been on a date? Is that?
I don't know. It's never said. It's very heavily implied, and we can see that she is socially awkward. And she's in her early 20s. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, she definitely, like, I guess you can say, like, her dad's kind of a shitbag, and she lacks confidence because of the way she was brought up. And maybe that is like the trickle down effect of why she's never been on a date. But I'm like, she's very awkward.
She is very, and then like when we see her family and meet her family, they're all kind of not great. And I don't know if it's a result of him being who he is, or if they just haven't had an opportunity. Maybe he's constantly been like, "Hey, you guys are nothing, and you'll always be nothing,
Yeah.
like me." I don't know, but like it's hard to kind of root for somebody early on because everybody's so weird,
Everybody sucks.
awkward, and everybody sucks. But this movie only had a budget of $9 million, but when it was released, it made $57.5 million. So
Wow.
really catapulted not only PJ Hogan into the view of the world, but also Tony Collette and Rachel Griffiths, who have long careers in movies and television, and are fantastic. I love Tony Collette. I don't. We talked about it whenever we watched it. You didn't really haven't really watched too many movies with her in. Knives Out, I think, is one that we
That makes
saw. A couple others in there, but yeah, love Tony Collette. Love everything that she's ever done. But most people like this movie too, according to that box office score. Rotten Tomatoes gave this a 81%, so definitely fresh. IMDb gave it a 7.2 out of 10, and Letterboxd is at a 3.8 out of 5. Roger Ebert gave this 3.5 stars out of 4. He says the arc of its story involves Muriel's discovery of herself and a developing faith that she can have a good time, make friends, and be valued. The film's good heart keeps it from ever making fun of Muriel, although there are moments that must have been tempting. Good one.
I would agree. You kind of hate everybody at the beginning, but as time goes on, you are really rooting for Muriel.
Yeah. Hal Hinson of the Washington Post did not like this movie. He said, Hogan seems skittish about going all the way with the darker side of the material. Clearly, he wants us to see the tragedy in Muriel's circumstances, but he also encourages us to view her as a buffoon. As a result, the movie exists somewhere between comedy and tragedy. It's a bright, buoyant comedy about a very sad young woman, and regrettably, the mix just doesn't work. So
that sounds misogynistic.
Hal Hinson.
As I never would have called it a tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's nothing like, yeah, it does like, I guess, the differing opinions on does it teeter on making fun of Muriel. I really don't think it does. I don't think she's ever the butt of any jokes. Because
even when she is made fun of in the movie, you're on Muriel's side.
Yeah, you're like, wow, that was a rude thing to say.
Yeah. She is like, as the kids say, cringe. A lot of time. But yeah, you're not like making fun of her. You're not joining in on the making fun of her or feeling like she's a sad person. Yeah, I think you're right there. There might be some misogyny in there. Who knows?
It's like she's sad, and it's like, is she sad because she wants to get married, or is she sad because she had a sad childhood or like growing up? I'm like, that doesn't make her sad or her life sad. It just is what it is.
Isn't it interesting what her true like dream is to get married? It's not love.
Mm-hmm.
It's not to fall in love. It is marriage and the status that comes with marriage.
Right.
And like people looking at me and acknowledging me. That's truly what she wants. It's not not that she doesn't want love, but like her main focus is, I just want this thing.
Right. And it's she says it later, and it's one of my quotes, but she wants to win. Like, I want to be somebody. I don't want to be a nobody. I'm not nothing. I'm not worthless. I'm not like everything that my dad told me I am. I am a somebody. And she thinks marriage is maybe the quickest way or the easiest or best way to become a somebody.
Yeah. And I think that it's reflected in her friends. I put quotes around the friend. Like their whole goal is to get married because then they will have money. They will have security. They will have the opportunity, like, to do what they don't want to be working for themselves. They don't want to and it is a status thing for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is truly a status thing.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of legacy beyond this is there was a musical that was made in 2016, Muriel's Wedding. I think it closed in 2018. So there is a Muriel's Wedding. musical out there. It does include some ABBA songs on there, which is interesting because I know this is probably in our fun facts or anything, but like this movie also kind of in its popularity with the ABBA soundtrack kind of gave way to Mamma Mia, the musical, which is a huge musical, now a movie series that has 2 movies in it, maybe a third along the way. I've seen things about there being a third potentially, and I was like, okay, whatever. So
the Mamma Mia franchise to become the Fast and Furious franchise. I am 100% on board with this.
That sounds that sounds awful for me.
Mamma Mia 2, to Mama, to Mia.
Although this movie did not garner any Oscar nominations, it did get Toni Collette a Best Actress nomination for the Golden Globes. There are some other awards like BAFTAs and stuff that she did get some recognition for. So didn't quite make the cusp. So maybe it does kind of fall into, except last is like famous directors, but that's okay. Let's talk about this movie a little bit and set up some of the scenes that we really liked or really enjoyed from this movie. I've got about 4-ish. I say 4-ish that I've nailed, but we'll start with you and see what you've got down.
I started with the opening wedding scene. I love the slow-mo bouquet toss and Muriel in her leopard print dress and just talking to people and being uncomfortable and people being mean to her and her finding out that the groom is sleeping with a bridesmaid and her eventually getting arrested for stealing the dress. And we're like, what is this girl? Like we're getting a lot of information. And it's all quite colorful and also and like comical, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, she it does not do I mean, it gives you everybody in the movie all at once, and like even after she's arrested and comes home, I love that she gets arrested and she still has her champagne glass as she gets into the car and everything, even when she gets out at her house. So you in that brief, like, I mean, what, 10-15 minutes there, you get all of you get Muriel's friends, you get the setup with the cheating thing, and then you get introduced to her family right after that. It really gives you everything, but I do like the way that this movie's structured, especially with like those bouquet tosses and stuff like
yes,
that.
it's very fun.
Bouquet. Now I feel like I'm saying it weird.
I say bouquet. No, I don't know what I say now.
Bouquet. It's bouquet, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm crazy. Just don't worry about me. Yeah, I love that wedding. And it does seem like everybody hates Muriel.
Everyone hates Muriel. And it does make her kind of like a complex character when like you're like, wow, why is everyone being mean to her? And then you're like, oh, she literally stole that dress. Like she isn't a great person, but she doesn't deserve to be ridiculed in like the worst ways possible by the people that she calls friends. Why even invite her to the wedding?
Again, I think it's to just show off, just to be like, I'm better than you.
Yeah.
Isn't that why everybody invites somebody to a wedding? It's just to be like, haha.
Haha.
I gotcha.
Yeah, and I will say I love like the late 80s, early 90s wedding motif style aesthetic. Like it is so fun and so opulent in the worst ways. And I love it very much. So when we got a lot of the taffeta and the chiffon and the
so much chiffon.
Loved it.
And it's very reminiscent of, and we see it later in the movie when she's watching Princess Diana's wedding, like that dress that Princess Di is, and like people were all about the royal wedding, and they still are about royal weddings now. But like, especially at that time with Diana, like, everybody wanted those huge chiffon, big train sleeves.
Yeah,
it's a choice.
It's a choice. It was she was the trend. Princess Diana was like. There's like a mark in the wedding industry of like that wedding and like setting everything into motion to what it is in modern day.
Yeah. I wonder if you can track that with each of the royal weddings that we've seen. Like, I wonder if the style of dress that Kate wore has got more popular or after. I bet it did. Surely. I don't want to do that research. Anything else about that wedding that you wanted to bring up? The wedding in particular, specifically.
No, I don't think so. Is there something that stuck
No,
out?
no, no. I didn't. My scenes didn't start until they got to the resort. So.
Oh, okay. That's my second one. I just
Yeah.
like an opening scene introduces everybody very quickly. Like it's
Yeah.
kind of get everything you need in the first 10 minutes to set you up for the rest of the movie. So I like when they do that.
I did like the introduction of her family, though, and like you get to meet her dad, her mom, her brother, her brothers, her sisters, specifically Joni. I love Joni. She's the best.
I don't know why. Joni reminds me of like a character from Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah.
Like her vibe, her look. To me, like she belongs in a claymation. Which I don't mean that to be mean. I just like she's very like big eyes, and I'm just like she reminds me of a character like Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah, no, she does. She looks like she could be the farmer's wife from Chicken Run or something. Or
Yes.
yeah, very much. Somebody in chat just said, "Is Porpoise Spit a real place?" It is not a real place. I don't know if I have that in my my notes or not. Maybe you do. I do.
know. It's based on where the writer grew up.
Mm-hmm.
Like a small town in Australia, but not Porpoise Spit is not a real name of a town.
What a great name, though, for a town. I wish I grew up in Porpoise Spit.
You would trade in Lynchburg for Porpoise Spit.
Yes, Porpoise Spit, I think, is a better name. I get hassled by Spencer on the regular for where I grew up, in the town name that I
did not have a choice in that.
That's right, I didn't. But you see your dad getting her out, giving bribes to the police, giving them a case of beer to get her out of trouble. All of the children are terrible and lazy in this house, but for some reason Muriel is the worst one out of the group. The mom is, I don't know what to say about the mom.
Oh, she's like not all there.
Right? Like
not like spacey, but she's like almost as if she's on some type of substance, just kind of like she'll stare off into the distance. She doesn't really hear you, and then she'll like snap back into it and then go out of orbit again. Like is almost like she's daydreaming, but it's not in a good way.
Yeah, I wanted to figure out what was wrong with her, but like also couldn't nail anything down.
I don't think there was anything wrong with her other than just like being in an abusive household.
Yeah.
Like I think she probably just kind of shut down in a way, like rather like no use in fighting, no, and I mean he'll call her crazy, like it's like almost like gaslighting, minus the gas, like like she is like you're crazy, you're lazy, you're stupid, and like she just kind of retreats and she almost like takes it on and believes it and just kind of like sits with it. That's how it feels like. We also know, and we find out later, that she has some type of sleeping pill, so maybe she has a form of anxiety or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just and it probably comes from years of what you said, like abuse, mental abuse, verbal abuse and everything. But it's like, I want to know what Betty was like before this, to where Bill married her and then made how many 5 children with her?
There are 5.
There are 5. There's a younger daughter that you don't see her as much. There's 2 boys, there's 3 girls. But it's like, what even inspired this relationship? I'd be curious to know.
I don't know. Maybe they were like high school sweethearts or something.
Yeah, maybe she got pregnant in high school and he was like, I gotta marry her. One of those kind of things.
Maybe.
Because it seemed like Bill was always in love with Deidre.
Yeah, Deidre was like pretty and wore makeup and put together and big hats and stuff, and his wife was just kind of like, here always, and I don't know. We'll never know.
We'll never know. That's okay. All right, what's your next scene?
I said Island Holiday and Waterloo.
Yes.
Just her So she goes on holiday to basically show her friends dump her, for lack of a better term. And they say, we're going on vacation without you. He follows them there to kind of like show up and show off and be like, I can go on vacation too, and I have the money, and because that's been a theme up to this point, that she doesn't have a job or money. So she goes on this vacation. Oh, she gets a blank check from her mom, is where she gets the money from. And runs into an old high school friend, Rhonda, and Rhonda and her become besties instantly. And they tell off the other girls, or Rhonda specifically tells off those other girls, tells the bride from the wedding 15 minutes prior that her husband's cheating on her. And then there's a big musical number, and I love a musical number.
Now, I love this meetup. And this is also the first time that, not the first time probably that it's happened, but it kind of sets into motion the Muriel lying for the rest of the movie thing. She is, she lies about having a fiance. She lies about what she's doing there, that she's actually on her honeymoon, and she kind of takes things from other people's lives and like puts them in a little bit into her own. But she does start this friendship with a lie.
Yeah. Saying, yeah, she's on her little Rhonda assumes that, you don't have your wedding ring on, because she doesn't have a wedding ring. She's like, you're out for one last rendezvous, and she's like, yes.
Exactly it. Let them tell the lie for you.
Yes.
So Muriel knows what she's doing.
Her fake fiance,
Tim Sims.
Tim
Sims. That's what it is. It's no, what is from the Brady Bunch? George Glass.
George Glass.
It gives me those vibes.
Yes.
No, I love this. I love her. Like, I love Rhonda coming into the picture, and Rhonda's like, Spitfire. She's exactly kind of what Muriel needs, honestly, to some balance. Yeah. To bring Muriel out of her weird shell.
Yeah, she's socially awkward. Rhonda is like a social butterfly. Like Muriel needs somebody to, like, she needs a friend and she needs fun, and Rhonda is more than willing to bring the fun. They're a good balance.
They are good, but I love that they hit it off so quickly, and then they immediately start gossiping about the girls back home, and then Rhonda gives that whole spiel to I can't even think of her name, but the girl that just got married and everything, and she's like, "Hey, your husband's cheating on you with that girl."
Yes.
And then a fight ensues, or not even at that point, when they get into the Waterloo song, and then the fight just
love it. They're
happens.
Just full, and they don't even change. Like there's no acknowledgement that there is a full-blown fist fight happening right in front of them. They are just in full costume, Waterloo, doing their whole thing, walking around, and these two women are just beating the shit out of each other right now.
I really like this scene too, because it does, like, it almost is like they're filming a music video with just these two, because they're making, like, they're looking at the camera. If this were real life, like if we were the audience at that event, we'd be like, what the hell are they doing? Who are they looking at? They are looking at a camera, and I love that. I think that's such a good scene.
One of them faces this way, the other one faces them, and then it's like vice versa. And it's like, if I was watching this live, I'd be like, they came with a choreographed number.
It was incredible. They looked incredible. It was, yes, probably my favorite scene of the movie too, as Joseph said too. It's just incredible. And then, like, the next thing we see is them living in Sydney.
And they were roommates.
And Muriel looks great. She got her hair done. She's
Muriel
working at a
blowout desperately, and she got it. It was great.
She looks great. She starts working at that video store, the Video Drama.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a great name for a video store. And I don't know what does Rhonda do? She works across the street.
It's a store.
Just like a regular store?
some kind of retailer. I don't know what it was.
Yeah. I love that. They work across the street from each other. They live together. They're living their best life. Is this when Muriel changes her name?
Yes. Well, she's working at the store. She looks great. A customer asks her out on a date, and she's like, "Yeah." Oh, she calls Rhonda across the street and is like, "Look at this man." Can you turn and face that way for a moment? And they decide to hang out that night as like a double-ish date type of thing. And so her and Rhonda get lunched, and she tells him, she's like, "A boy asked me out, and I have a job, and I have a roommate, and I have a life. I'm changing my name to Muriel." Just like, of all things.
And Rhonda, rightfully so, is like, "Are you on the run from some of the cops or something? Like, you can tell me."
Because slight detail to overstep, when her mom gave her that blank check to go on that vacation, stole and drained her family's bank account of $15,000. $15,000 gone.
Go off.
Go off, queen. So
but she's making something of herself. She got a job. Like, maybe that's what, I mean, it's just what she needed.
I would like, because they say, you know, "Oh, this is a $3,000 vacation," right? She's like, she I don't know if she flew there or she's on the island and she's in a nice hotel and food and drinks and everything. It's like a $3,000 vacation. And I know she also bought like new clothes and new luggage. That was like stuff that got brought up. I'm like, where did the other 12,000 go? Because I'm under the impression that it is gone from the vacation.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, to get a new place, to fly to go to Sydney or whatever. I don't know.
But she comes home. She leaves the vacation, comes home, walks in the door, immediately turns around.
Oh, yeah, I love that part. She's just like, "Nope, you're in big trouble." Nope.
I think the 15 was gone when she walked in. So that's why I'm like, did she just blow $15,000 at the resort? Did they think it was 3,000 and it was actually, I don't know. I'm just getting into the weeds of it.
It's basically double what it is to what it was in '94 is double what it is or to now. So we're looking about $30,000. Yeah. I wouldn't be mad if I mean, I'll steal $30,000 from my family right now.
I was like, I'd love if there were $30,000 to steal.
It'd be awesome. I would love that a lot.
Full 30 lying around, sure.
I think Joseph might give me $30,000 if he
if you ask
so kind, and told him I'd never repay him.
You can pay him in jelly beans.
Okay, perfect. I'll pay him in gum, like that commercial. Nobody ever pays me in gum. Yeah, I love that. So that goes into my next scene, which is I just have it as the Muriel sex or Rhonda can't feel her legs scene, which is I mean, Muriel doesn't get to have sex because she's so awkward.
Yeah.
It's so weird that this man is like trying to romance and sex her up, and she's just like laughing, cackling.
Well, she's laughing. Her laugh sounds like a high-pitched scream, like kind of like a pig squeal. She's just like, "Wah!" And of course, Rhonda is over in the other room getting Eiffel Towered by two men in the Navy.
Those Americans. They really know what they're doing.
They hear Muriel at the time screaming, thinking it's a bad thing, and they come out where they were fully naked, were they not?
Yes, they were naked. He
attack him. They think he's attacking her.
Yes, and he unzips the beanbag, thinking that it's her shirt or her pants or whatever. The lamp gets kicked over and breaks the window, and I think that's when they come out fully naked and start beating this guy up, thinking that he's,
attacking her.
attacking her, and then she's just laughing the whole time, and Rhonda comes out laughing, and then all of a sudden just falls down into the corner, and doesn't really understand what's happening, and of course she can't feel her legs. And then has to get taken to the hospital. It's kind of I mean, you're having such like a good time, especially after the resort in Waterloo, and them having this fun friendship, and Muriel kind of coming out of her shell and being Muriel, and then bam, yeah, it is such a dark turn. It is the tragedy.
It is a switch, and I thought at first that Rhonda hit her head.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that she was like hit her head and got paralyzed that way, but no, she just fell because her legs at that exact time decided to stop working.
Yeah, and I guess she has a tumor on her spine.
Yep.
That they say maybe she can walk again, but they're going to have to take the tumor off, and it's but then she has to be in a wheelchair. So Muriel, yeah, she goes through rehab. She tries to walk. Muriel's with her, helping her along the way. Too much sex does not cause spinal cancer, although the Rhonda asks if that's what did it, and the doctor just kind of laughs her off. I thought that was a fun moment, especially after we've learned something so tragic.
Right, and if you think about it, she thinks that might be the cause, right? Because that's literally what was happening right before her leg stopped working.
So is this movie a abstinence campaign, or is it against having sex with other people at the same time?
I don't know, because I don't know, say, because Muriel is up to this point has not had sex, and she does eventually. I think it's heavily implied. So I don't think it's abstinence only.
It is not abstinence only. Maybe it is the two guys. Maybe it's Americans.
Yeah, don't have sex with Americans.
Exactly. That's the lesson we should learn from this movie.
That's the main takeaway.
Mm-hmm. What's your next one?
I feel like I fast forward a little bit and go to marrying David.
Yep, that's my next scene as well.
So, Muriel is obsessed with weddings. She has been the entire time, and she decides to basically to go to what's that section of the newspaper called? Not Missing Connections, like Brides Wanted. If you're interested in getting married, there's a version of Craigslist.
I don't know,
but it's in her newspaper, and it's just like, hey, man seeking woman. And oh, damn! All right.
Wow, what a hot take in the chat.
That is a hot take in the chat. I like it though. I'm here for the controversy. But David wants to be an Olympic athlete. He is an Olympic swimmer, but he's not an Australian. He's from South Africa, I believe. So in order to become an Australian citizen, he's got to get married to an Australian girl, and Muriel shows up, and that's how that exchange works out. They decide they're going to get married, and he is very upset by this. He's like, are you sure that we can't call one of the other ladies who showed up?
And I wonder what the other ladies were like in order for them to settle on Muriel.
I wonder if I think they said, because he was like, what about the blonde? And he's like, you didn't like the blonde. He's like, well, now I'm reconsidering. Was it personality? Was it looks? Was it willingness? Because Muriel is sounds great. You want to do because that's super illegal. I mean, I don't know what it is in Australia. I'm sure it's not super legal in Australia either, but a marriage of convenience to get a green card in the United States is super illegal. So I'm she's just sure. That sounds great. And she keeps doing the tongue thing, and
the tongue thing sent me. She sticks out her tongue looking at him yeah, she's so excited. Again, and
grin ear, thrilled. And he's a very handsome man. That's very 90s surfer, blonde hair, tan guy. That dude has been in that look of a dude has been the love interest in a lot of movies.
Oh yeah. And and I think maybe they choose Muriel because she understands the assignment. She's not under the only thing that she gives a crap about is the marriage.
Yeah.
And they make sure that she goes all out on the marriage. He kind of wanted a quiet thing just to get married, but he was like, nah, big marriage is good for the good for the papers, good for the press, and to believe that you're really in love. It's a good romance angle. No, that has to be what it is. Like, she just understands the assignment. She really doesn't care that she's going to get $10,000. She really doesn't care that she's not going to have sex with this guy. Like,
no, it helps that he's handsome, I think. Like, she is like captivated by how good he looks. Like, I don't think that, I mean, even if he was less attractive, she would probably still be really into it. But like, that was, I think she like showed up thinking like, who's this guy gonna be? And then she's like, oh, I got the jackpot of a situation here. Because especially based on looks, like, that, again, that's part of winning. Somebody wants me, someone wants to marry me, and it's this hot dude. Fuck you, girls live in Porpoise Spit.
And I think that was that's the idea about it, or behind it too. And like, we learn more about that at the wedding. There's some things that happen in between, like Rhonda's like, don't ever make me go back to Porpoise Spit, and abandon her essentially. And this is kind of what Muriel does at this point in the movie, is kind of abandons her and goes off and lives her own life. And Rhonda can't do things on her own at this point. So she does kind of abandons her best friend for status.
Yeah. Rhonda was like the vehicle to get her to where to get her out of Porpoise Spit, to get her into where she's at. And now David is the vehicle. Yeah. Again, Muriel's been lying. She kind of uses people in a way. There's mutual benefit between like her friendship with Rhonda, and there's mutual benefit to her relationship with David. But at the end of the day, she's doing all of the things she's doing because she wants to win.
Yeah. Everything is the next, what is going to put me in the best position to be, to get my goals met. And not saying that anything that she has with Rhonda is disingenuous.
Yeah.
Because I think she does have a great time, but you're right. They're both vehicles to get her to that next stage of where she wants to be. So, I do think that if there were any kind of flaws with this movie, it is kind of after she marries David. And like, you see that one scene where he's like swimming in the pool, and he like looks up at the window as like Muriel's watching what is she watching, the wedding video?
Probably she's watching TV at least, but.
Yeah. And like, I never felt like because like, he has that little moment whenever they do eventually have sex after her mom's funeral and all that, like, weird. But like, you don't get the feeling when he says like, I don't love you, but I kind of like having you around. Like, you don't even get that little bit. And I get why they didn't do it, because again, it's not about that romance. But I also didn't believe him.
Well, I think he was angry about the situation. Like, other than the fact that Muriel was considered ugly by everybody and socially awkward and cringe, he didn't want to get married. I don't think he wanted, like, the situation that he was in was he's like, I want to win. I want to be an Olympic athlete. And there was some stuff going down, like, politically, civically, and
apartheid stuff
where he was living. And like, he kind of think like anybody who would do this is crazy. Like, Muriel's crazy for marrying him. And he probably, like, that's a little bit of projection. He probably thinks of himself as kind of like, why am I doing this? He's like, I'm taking the most extreme route to get what I want. And it's almost like a projection. Like, he's mad at himself, and therefore he is mad at Muriel. But I think too, they do become roommates. There is like a span of time, very short, between like them getting married and then everything that happens with her mom later. Right. So I'm sure there's maybe a time where they have to, not even just hang out, but like be civil with one another. I'm sure that kind of eases a little bit. And then, it was strange then we're getting to this part, that Muriel's mother ends up passing away. We find out most likely from suicide, because her husband is leaving. He's cheating on her. He's leaving her with the children. She can't afford and she's anything, and she says, "I'm out," literally. And then they go to the funeral, and Muriel has like a mental clarity moment where she's like, "I'm like my dad. I'm just like my dad, and I don't want to be like my dad." And I do think that there's a, if this is somebody who you've been acquaintances with, somebody who you've spent a lot of time around, somebody who has helped you get to your dream, by marrying you and knowing what the situation is, like there's got to be some level of at least acquaintanceship there. To have that lead to sex, well, like literally during the funeral, a little odd, not the route I would go, but I'm like, I was surprised, but I can make the justification in my brain.
People do crazy things, when
they're grieving.
When they're grieving, yeah. Emotions, flare up. I've seen it. I've heard it firsthand. Things like this have happened. I know a couple that have gotten together because of something like this.
Say, you know somebody who this happened to?
Very much so. Very happy together. I'm so happy for them.
Good.
But yeah, that was that whole like Betty being yelled at by her husband, and then like yelling at the children, and then the next thing, her dying. That was my next scene in this, which is all leading to the funeral and everything that we're already talking about. But that when Muriel kind of stands up for herself, when her dad is, they're in the backyard that hasn't been cut. It's been scorched. I really like that scene a lot, because that truly feels like, okay, Muriel is at that growth. Like she's finally grown into like, okay, I'm at my max potential now. Like I know what I'm supposed to be and who I'm supposed to be, and it's not here, and it's not you, and it sucks that my mom had to pass away for me to kind of figure out all this stuff. But
it was great.
That was a good, and I really liked that scene between her and her dad, as much as I didn't like her dad as in You're Not Supposed To, but like I really did think that's probably my I think the second best scene in the movie, maybe.
Oh, it's great acting. Like you said, she finally stands up for herself. He's like, "You're not going to stick around and help me with your sibling." She's like, "No, I'm not. Like that's not what's going to happen here." Is Muriel the oldest?
Either her brother might be the oldest.
Okay.
It might go, it might go the brother, her, and then Joni, and then the other two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, she's at least the eldest daughter. So there's a lot that goes in with that. But I like that she is like, I need to start fresh. I need to scorched earth. I need to do what is this backyard.
Yeah. Joni also looks like the kind of person that could be 55 or 16. Yeah, like I don't know how old she is.
Yeah.
She's still awesome. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Somebody I hope someone got a picture of her mom at the wedding. That was so sad when she didn't notice her at all coming down the aisle. Doesn't she realize that at one point? Like, doesn't she see her mom at the wedding, or learn that her mom was at the wedding?
After she it's after she dies. It's after she goes home. She's talking to Joni. Joni says, "What am I going to do without her?" Which is heartbreaking. And then gives her, she's like, "This is Mom's scrapbook." And there's a whole page of just pictures and articles from Muriel's weddings, and her mom saying like this was the happiest day of her life, was being at her daughter's wedding. And it clicks that she was like, I didn't even notice that she was there. It is sad. This movie takes a turn. Like it's so good.
And I think I get what that second person was saying with like the tragedy and the comedy and it not mixing, but I don't think that's true. I think it does it really well. Like,
it's the tragedy of Muriel's circumstance, not Muriel herself. Maybe
Yeah.
that's because I'm like, Muriel's not a tragedy. The events surrounding her can be considered that, but like I don't think she's like a tragic case.
I agree with that. I just think, I don't know. I don't know if that person, Hal Henson, was like, because sometimes I'll complain on here. I complain a lot about movies and like their tone shift and everything, but I never felt like this did. It was like abrupt at any time. I thought it balanced it very well, even towards the end when things do get a little bit more serious. I still felt like there was a perfect blend of comedy in there, or like a piece of comedy just around the corner. Like after we get this tragic scene, we get that kind of the final scene with her and Rhonda, and them leaving, and like her calling all those people a bunch of cocksuckers, and that wonderful redemption scene. I loved that, and I thought that was a good way to cap off the movie with them getting in a cab and leaving Porpoise Spit for the final time.
Yeah, her mom saying like, Muriel, you can't just walk in here and declare that you're gonna take Rhonda back to Sydney. Like, and then Rhonda's just like, yeah, she can because she's my best friend.
Yeah. I also think it's in my namesake or whatever. I like the ending shot of them leaving Porpoise Spit. You see the sign at the very bottom of the sign. It says, "You can't stop progress." I think it's fitting. Like, yes, that's her dad's like slogan, especially politically and everything like that. But in the same case, it's Muriel. You can't stop this progress that Muriel has made, and Muriel has made with Rhonda, and that friendship. So I kind of liked the way that ends there. Any other scene?
What was that? Specific, like I said, Rhonda and Muriel heading back to Sydney, and I do love when they're in the car, heads out the window, like, goodbye convenience store, goodbye beach. Like, it was very like heartwarming, swelling. Like, I'm like, yeah, go go go.
It's funny. I never even thought about this, but it's the opposite. And then I don't think you've seen It's a Wonderful Life, but
no, didn't we watch that? No.
Did we watch It's a Wonderful Life?
I feel like we did.
Christmas movie.
One with the... Oh, it is. I did see that.
Okay. It's interesting. And I don't know if they did this intentionally, but as they're leaving Porpoise Spit, they're saying goodbye to all these things. Goodbye, convenience store. Goodbye, whatever. And in the It's a Wonderful Life, when he has come back and finally realizes, I'm back here and I've missed this place. And he's like, hello, convenience store. Hello, you old bank and loan. Like, and he's saying hello to all these things. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I didn't catch that, but I like that parallel.
That's cool. I don't think it's probably intentional, but I like to think of it as. This is just a parallel to It's a Wonderful Life. Not at all. Anything else that we missed from this movie, or any scenes that stick out that we might cover some more here in a second? But
no, I don't think so. I think we got it.
All right, who's your favorite character?
I think I said Rhonda, but I think it is Muriel and Rhonda. Like Muriel, like over time becomes so lovable. But I love Rhonda from the jump.
Yeah, I was thinking that you were gonna say. I thought you were gonna say Rhonda.
I like Rhonda
in this. I love Muriel. I think Muriel's like even the very cringy parts. I'm just dying laughing because it's so good. Like Toni Collette is doing such a the Muriel character is so good at being so awkward and no obviously not an ugly person at all, but like making you just sit there and kind of just like.
There were.
Please don't do that.
I don't remember what the scene was. It might have been the beanbag, but I'm sitting there like this.
Oh, it was definitely the beanbag scene.
Because it was like I was just like folding in on myself, cringing. I was like, oh my god, no. Like, Muriel, stop screaming.
Yes, I think that's how it was when we were watching it, and you were doing that, and I'm just dying laughing. Because it's so funny. Like, it's just ridiculous.
And then anytime she did the mouth thing, I'm just like, what a fun little addition. Like, that's obviously not what Toni Collette does. Like, that she's acting, obviously. It's just like, who comes up with this?
She just sticks her little tongue out.
Okay. there is a Vine, I guess I won't talk about this. I'll talk about it now, but there's a Vine that it's this like little girl who's like maybe 11 and she sings "Country Boy, I Love You." Do you know this Vine?
No, I don't know this Vine.
I will show it to you. But it's like "Country Boy, I Love You," and she goes wow at the very end, and I was like, that is
Muriel.
is Muriel.
I want to give a shout out to my scene stealer, Joni. Who I think does a really obvious. She's so funny. She delivers the best line in the movie. "You're terrible, Muriel," like 3 times, and every time she says it, she's saying it just so like, "You're terrible, Muriel." Like she can't wait to say it. But I think Joni, even though she's barely in the movie, she has her "You're terrible, Muriel" line. But that scene where that we talked about, where she's talking about what am I going to do without her, that was heartbreaking, and like she did a really good job in there. So Joni's awesome.
I dig it.
I hope she has her own Muriel's moment.
Me too.
She needs that
with a friend.
Yeah, don't hang out with your brothers. They're awful.
They suck.
They suck so bad. All right, let's get to some quotes that really shine.
Okay. I have quite a few. I wrote down "You're terrible, Muriel."
She says it 3 times.
Terrible, Muriel. My favorite, we can go back and forth. But my favorite line from the whole, soliloquy, really. Muriel's talking to Rhonda, and she says, "When I lived in Porpoise Spit, I used to sit in my room for hours and listen to ABBA songs. But since I've met you and moved to Sydney, I haven't listened to one ABBA song. That's because my life is as good as an ABBA song. It's as good as Dancing Queen." And I was like, ah. Like not even it's like right after, like she's going through, Rhonda's going through rehab and she's having a hard time. Like we're at the middle of the movie. This is not even the most emotional part of the movie. And I was just like, I love that. Like it's as good as Dancing Queen.
Mm-hmm. I have one it's kind of an interaction. Tanya is the girl that got married at the beginning of the movie. He says they're not sleeping together. She only sucks him off. And Cheryl says, "Why?" And she says, "Out of respect for me."
Wild.
That's love.
That's love.
That's true love. Out of respect for me.
Out of respect.
And Nicole, at the end of that, the other one says, "Bitch." I forgot that was at the
end. My next one is the interaction with David and Muriel, which I think is like the very telling. David says, "What kind of person marries someone they don't know?" And Muriel said, "You did." And David says, "I want to win. All my life I've wanted to win." And Muriel says, "Me too."
Yeah, I think that's one of the better interactions in the movie.
Yeah, that's probably the most honest she has been the whole movie.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Yeah. She's the most honest with him.
Yeah, there's no stake.
Weird. Yeah, there's no stake. She doesn't know him.
She's already got him.
Yeah, she's got him. There's nothing to worry about. Because, like, it's weird that she's not as honest with Rhonda as she is with David, but it makes sense. Like you said, there's no stake. She got what she wanted. She could literally tell this guy anything and he'd just be stuck, like, having to, like, I don't know. It's kind of freeing for her. Maybe she needed that. Too. We know that she kind of went on this journey and kind of ditched Rhonda, but she needed to have a David in her life in order for her to be able to just be like, "Yep, this is what I wanted, and now I know why I wanted it," and everything. So,
yeah.
Get out of my face, David. You hate David, Joseph. I don't know what's your problem.
He doesn't like swimmers.
He hates swimmers.
That's the only.
He turns it off during the Olympics right now. He's just like, nope. I hate South African swimmers. I think the only other one that I have listed, so you might have more than me, is Rhonda at the very end of the movie saying, "Sorry, Mom, you know I love you, but you drive me crazy, and you 3, what a bunch of cocksuckers." I love that line. Rhonda's a beast. She's awesome.
I have 2 more. They're both from Tanya.
Nice.
And Tanya is talking to Rhonda at Muriel's wedding. She goes, "I'm divorcing Chuck. I suppose I have you to thank for that. I hope I can do the same for you one day." Which I thought was very funny.
Funny line.
Like, I hope I can help you divorce your husband one day. And I have one more, which is a horrific quote, but I have to do it anyway because I think I lost it pretty hard when she said it. Tanya, talking about her husband Chuck, says they've accused him of raping a Japanese tourist, which is ridiculous. Chuck hates the Japanese. And I was like, I was floored. I was like, what is happening in this movie?
Chuck is the worst. Chuck is the one that we should be. Justice for David. Biggest laugh, cry, scare, or thrill in the movie.
My biggest laugh is the Waterloo scene where they are filming a music video and those two women are just beating the shit out of each other on the floor. It is a cinematic masterpiece.
The tongue when she's meeting David for the first time. I think that's the hardest I laughed in the whole movie.
That's my what the fuck. That's my what the fuck. It's just Muriel's mouth and her laugh.
Yeah.
I'm like, stop.
And then for cry, the only other thing I would put there is I think the scene with her and her sister.
Yes.
Is pretty tough.
Well, yeah, when Joni says, "What am I going to do without her?" I was like, "Oh,
yeah,
no."
That's awful.
Mm-hmm.
For my WTF, mine is the sex scene.
The whole scene.
Yeah, just what is going on? Glass is breaking everywhere.
Chaos.
She's just laughing the whole time. He unzips the bean bag, like naked American Navy men. Like it's
the scene. It's the episode of Community, where there's like 7 different timelines. And,
yes.
And like Donald Glover walks in with the pizza box.
Yeah, just screams. Yes, that's exactly it. Anything? What was your what? You already said your what?
I would say her laugh and her mouth. I just like, again, who thinks of that? Like, who comes to be like? I like anytime she stuck her tongue out. I'm like, she's like a frog. It is driving me nuts. And it was like, what's happening?
Yeah. Ugh. Best music moment or score recognition. I think we, obviously just want to give, I guess, the ABBA soundtrack of this whole movie makes it fun, I think. And like you would watch Mamma Mia, you enjoy the ABBA songs. Like, I don't know, it's so fitting in that they both love ABBA so much. And it's great. But the Waterloo dance scene, I think, is still...
Waterloo. Yeah, Waterloo is the one I had because that's, I think, the biggest music moment. Like, that is for the song, for them dancing, the outfits. I do want to give an honorable mention to Dancing Queen, just because she plays it like 4 times throughout the movie, and when she's like when she's basically, her life has come to a head, she's at the funeral, she just sits there and puts on Dancing Queen, and she's just like staring out to the abyss, and I was just like, ooh, done that. Dancing Queen's also one of my songs. Like, I literally cry every time I hear Dancing Queen, which is something to unpack with a therapist. But I love that song very much, and I'm like, I get it. It. I also, one more music is that playing her walking down the aisle to the ABBA song "Say I Do." It's like so jarring. Very upbeat and like she is just grinning ear to ear, and like David is horrified. And it's like, say I do. It's just having a good time. She's like, yeah. And I'm like, I would love those. Like, walking down the aisle to ABBA. Great choice.
Insane. Muriel's insane. Let's see. There was a slowed down instrumental Dancing Queen at one point. I think you're right. I don't remember exactly where it is, but I do think that existed in the movie at some point. No, ABBA. This movie isn't. I don't want to say it's not as good without the ABBA part of it, but because it's still great and like the acting and story is still great, but the ABBA just gives it that extra like oomph.
Yes, I agree. It needed the soundtrack.
Yeah. All right, let's do F Mary Kill. I think this one will be probably pretty easy.
Okay.
I have both 3 women and 3 men that we
Okay.
can do. Muriel, Rhonda, and Deidre.
Oh, we're killing Deidre.
Yeah, I knew you'd kill Deidre. I have two very obvious kills on both of them.
Deidre is obviously the kill. I think I would. I mean, I don't know. I think I would maybe F Rhonda because she seems like she knows what she's doing.
I just don't want to give her cancer.
Don't want to give her with more sex.
For more sex, you know.
Sex give her some more cancer, obviously. But I'm like, she seems like a fun time. I guess I'll marry Muriel.
Yeah, I think that's the right. Although, well, I could get dark with it. Not dark with it, but I'd be like, Rhonda's in a wheelchair. That's a lot to do. Maybe I marry Deidre. She seems to have her life. Like she's got a career. She's a career woman. She's got the use of her legs right now. Not that you can't have a fulfilling life without the use of your legs. I don't know. Digging a hole here.
Yeah, just.
All right. The other one I have is David, Bryce, and Chuck.
Oh, you're killing Chuck.
I know. I told you. Two very obvious kills.
I thought it was going to be her dad. I thought you were going to say her dad, which
no,
I would.
You would kill him anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, Chuck sucks. Even out of respect for me, Chuck sucks. You know what? I think I'm going to marry David because I said like it would be cool to be married to an Olympic swimmer. I think that'd be like, oh, that's kind of neat. Bryce seems very nice.
Yeah, we don't get to know Bryce too much. We do know that he shows up at the wedding.
Very sad.
So maybe he like loved her.
Maybe my hope is that when she gets back to Sydney, she like hooks back up with Bryce and they fall in love.
Yeah, maybe Bryce is like the man version of Muriel.
Right. Yeah, he's on her same level.
Bryce's Wedding. That's the sequel.
Aw, I love it. That made me really happy.
Bryce kind of seems like a serial killer, secret serial killer type.
What movie did Joseph watch?
I mean, I get it. He was a little weirdo.
So's Muriel.
David, yeah, Muriel could be a secret serial killer too. If the movie would have shifted that way, it wouldn't have been that jarring.
She embezzled $15,000 from her.
That's true. She did steal that money.
She is
David kind of seems like a not secret serial killer. He just seems like a serial killer.
Yeah, he's just not happy.
Like when he does that look up at the window, it seems like he wants to kill her.
Yeah, he's not feeling that by any means. Enemies to lovers.
Ooh, yeah. I think yeah. This one's hard. Chuck would probably be the best lay, though.
You contract something.
Yeah, maybe.
Sounds like it.
Is the juice worth the squeeze?
No. No.
Yeah, I think I'd go with the same one as you. Married to an Olympic swimmer sounds pretty dope.
You get to travel.
You get to travel. You get
famous.
He's famous, but not too famous.
Yeah, a good amount of famous.
Yeah, it's a nice a humbling level. You know, like it's very nice. All right, recast. I didn't do a 1994 one. I don't think you did a 1994 one either. We don't know any Australian actors from the 90s. Barely know these. 2024, and you don't have to pick Australian actors. I am an idiot that did that, but.
No, I as a joke, I did say for the 2024 recast, me and Tori as Muriel and Rhonda. I would be Muriel, obviously, because Tori is the Rhonda to my Muriel.
Hopefully you told her to watch it.
I did. I did. I was like, please, you need to see this movie. And she said, okay. I don't know if she did or not, but I do think, just thinking, I said this to you earlier. I don't know what the actress's name is, but Rhonda's look, or like what the actress looks like, reminds me a lot of Brittany from Glee.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the actress's name is, but
I
like
forget.
I don't know, like age-wise, I don't know if that would work out, but like to
The
me,
younger version of her. Yeah.
yeah, she just looks kind of like Rhonda. Like they had a very similar nose for some reason.
Hmm.
So I was like, oh, she kind of looks like Brittany from Glee. So that's who I had for Rhonda. For Muriel, I had Beanie. I put Beanie in a lot of things.
Yeah, I could
But
see that.
she's also like 26. Like she's like, because I mean, you could even maybe go a little younger, like 20. But I don't know very many people in their early 20s that are like, you know. And then I looked up acting, but I think Beanie can do anything. I like her in comedy roles,
Hmm.
or even putting Beanie and the other girl from Booksmart. Like the two of them work together really well.
Yeah.
Like put them in a more fun, not that Booksmart wasn't fun, it was great, but like take the two of them and carry them over, like it
Yeah.
that'd be fun.
No, that would be fun. I like that. I tried to go with Australian actresses and actors. The girl that plays Katie in the Mean Girls musical,
The movie
the movie,
is Australia.
is Australian. I thought maybe she would be a good Muriel, maybe.
She can redeem herself a little bit.
Yeah. And then for this girl's a little bit older. She is still in her 20s. For Rhonda is Geraldine Viswanathan. I think that's her name. She's most popular. She's in Miracle Workers, the show that you and I both love.
Oh,
And she's in Blockers. She's in all these things.
wait, the main girl?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's Australian.
Yes.
Too. So I thought she'd be a good Rhonda.
I think she'd be a good Muriel too.
Yeah. Oh, she could be a good Muriel. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, she could. I mean, she's very funny in Miracle Workers.
Hmm. And then I picked Jacob Elordi, who's also Australian, for David.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
For
I
David,
went all Aussie.
I dig it. I think that's
Yeah.
a choice.
I skipped over best performance, but who gave the best performance? I think we both have the same answer.
I said Rhonda.
Oh, I said Toni Collette.
I said, I mean, obviously, the Toni Collette's obvious. Like, she's very lovable by the end of it. But when Rhonda, like, I guess Rhonda had to do the more serious role to me, which is not harder, but like, whenever she was like having a mental breakdown about having cancer and going through rehab, and like, that to me, I was like, ooh, this is quite compelling.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. They were both fantastic, and I think they worked well together. I just thought I love Toni Collette. Any fun facts that we have from this? I don't have too many.
I got not a lot, but I have a handful. We've mentioned it already that this movie was the inspiration for Mamma Mia, which I am forever indebted to because I'm obsessed with Mamma Mia. I've been listening to the soundtrack ever since we watched this movie. But I loved that, like, there's a little bit of background information. So the writer director of this movie wanted the ABBA soundtrack very desperately, and when he first put in a bid for it, the band came back and said absolutely not. So he said, I am going to personally fly out to Europe to sit with you and like plead my case.
Mm-hmm.
And came back and they were like, you don't have to do that. Like, that's okay. Appreciate you. Sounds like you really want it. We will let you do it if you give us a percentage of the profit. And he was like, yeah. So, and I'm like, the fact that it's like the butterfly effect is how we have now the Mamma Mia the musical, 2 Mamma Mia movies.
We've got that Mamma Mia franchise.
Mamma Mia 2 Mama 2 Mia. Tokyo Drift.
Exactly. I would love to see a Tokyo Drift version of this.
They just go from Greece to Tokyo. I'm here for it.
Yes. Perfect.
What?
Go ahead.
Oh, you go.
Oh, one of the things I liked is the bouquets falling as a transition into every act. I almost forgot about the acts part. Act 1, Act 2, the bouquet at Tanya's wedding. Act 2 is Sydney, the City of Brides, and then Act 3, Muriel's wedding with all the different bouquets. I like that. Just kind of a neat little thing. It felt very much, and somebody already mentioned it, and it's probably on both of our lists of movies to go along with this, but 4 Weddings and a Funeral, those transition, it felt very much like that, which is funny because they both came out this year. So
yes.
What do you have?
This movie is based on somewhat true events in the director/writer's life. His sister embezzled $15,000 from their family and fled to Sydney. I was like, that is insane.
Yeah, that is insane. Like, I just hope to steal $15,000 at some point as well from my family.
Yeah, I was like, hey, how can I do this? How can I get here?
Let's see. Every porpoise spit billboard has "You Can't Stop Progress" on the bottom of it. Yeah, so that's in there. Anything else? I have one more.
I've got two more. So Betty, the mom, passes a magazine in the supermarket called Women's Day, which is a real magazine, and there's a picture of Muriel on the front on her wedding day, and that exact cover was used on the cover of Real Women's Day in our world, and to promote the movie.
I feel like my mom used to subscribe to Women's Day.
Maybe.
Or get it from the you wouldn't know, but I'm pretty sure my mom did. She got Women's Day. And then the only other thing I had was that Toni Collette gained 40 pounds for this role.
Crazy.
Which is, yeah, it is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know Toni, and we talked about it a little bit, I think last night, but like, she's kind of virtually an unknown at this point.
Yeah.
And unless you're like asked, I don't know if she was asked to do it or what, but she felt like maybe for the character she needed to add 40 pounds. I don't know. It just seems weird.
Like, I saw that fun fact too, that she gained 40 pounds, but she did it with the help of a coach. Like, she didn't like just do that on her own.
Yeah.
Probably had to be for the role, or like, they said, hey, you can get this role. We need you to gain 40 pounds before filming starts.
Yeah. I hate that stuff. I hate it.
Yeah, no.
I mean, Christian Bale is the king of it, gaining and losing and being muscular and being not and being too thin. He's a freak though. So, anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Ridley Scott does love this movie. It's one of his favorite movies. Somebody in chat gave me that. So
nice.
Like a fine wine and dish, if you could pair this with another movie for a double feature, what would you choose? I'll let you go first. So that's
I think we have a lot of the same. We mentioned 4 Weddings and a Funeral. I didn't pick that because of the transitions, but like thinking, one, there's weddings and funerals in the movie. But 2, just the fact that it takes a very strange, like a dark turn. Like, it's like funny comedy. Wait a second, where did like someone died? Like, it does take a flip. So that was like similar, even if they weren't put out in the same year, kind of the same like trajectory of a timeline. I thought was interesting. I also said Mamma Mia for obvious reasons, right? To see like the inspiration to be pulled, what it led to.
Mm-hmm.
I said Bridget Jones' Diary, which is a movie I've never seen. Shocking, I know. I've not seen a lot of movies. But specifically, and like the legacy around Bridget Jones' Diary is that they call her fat, and she's like a size 4 at most. And same with, like we just said, with Toni Collette. She's like, she gained 40 pounds, and like someone calls her fat within the first 2 minutes of the movie. And I'm like, not a fat person. Like, that's not true. And like the early 90s and diet culture were wild. But that's like the only thing I pulled.
And it is kind of a unique thing too with like British and Australia. Like,
yes,
you see it in Love Actually, and I think the same guy who did Love Actually did Bridget Jones's Diary, and maybe even did 4 Weddings and a Funeral too. But like in Love Actually, there's the one character that they call fat throughout the whole thing, or like the chubby girl, and it's some weird thing. And like in their culture, I guess maybe they just don't see too many plus size people.
Crazy. And I have one last one, and it is Bride Wars. Have you ever seen Bride Wars?
I have seen Bride Wars.
Anne Hathaway and
Kate Hudson, I think.
Right? I was like, her face is in my head, because it's just a movie that is presumably about weddings, but is really about friendship.
Mm-hmm. I picked the only other 2 besides the ones that were mentioned. 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Okay.
Feels very much like like Steve Carell's character is very Muriel-esque, and has to come into his own and kind of figure out who he is, and not necessarily the worst, but and then for the friendship piece of this, a movie that I've told you that you should see, that is very popular and also very sad is Beaches. It is strictly a friendship movie, and I believe you should watch it. So, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, good pairing.
I like that. Just chaos, and
I was about to say that's one of your favorite movies, right?
we love Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Yeah. Anything? If there's a song or anything, did you have anything for that?
No, I jumped the gun with the Vine. That was my pairing. Was that Country Boy?
All right. If you had to give this movie a rewatchability rating out of 5, what would you give it?
I'd give it a 5. I'd watch this again. Absolutely.
Hell yeah, yeah. I think I gave it a 4. There's a couple scenes in here where I'm like, nah, I'm good. Like I'll pass. But 4 is pretty high. So overall star rating out of 5?
I gave it a 4.
Nice, me too. 4,
this,
a solid
this genre of movie is like exactly what I like.
Yeah. I think we did it. I think we covered
Nailed
Muriel's Wedding. Thank you, Alyssa, for doing this back-to-back weeks and being willing to jump on here and do this with me after having to reschedule things. So I really appreciate it. Is there anything that you've watched, read, or listened to lately that you should tell people about?
Just the Mamma Mia soundtrack. I have not watched anything. I'm still on my YouTube kick.
You read a book? Oh, you mentioned that last time, though.
Like, did I? I'm reading a lot of books for work right now, which is way less fun. But is what it is. So no, all I've been really doing is been listening to the Mamma Mia soundtrack.
And that's okay. We stay on a Mamma Mia soundtrack.
It's so good.
I have been trying, because I'm going on vacation. Don't put that out in the world. I don't want people to come to my house. But I'm trying to, I don't know why. I'm trying to watch 365 movies again. I've already done it again, or I've already done it, but I'm trying to stay ahead of it a little bit. And because I'm going on vacation, I probably won't watch that many movies. So I've been trying to be 2 weeks ahead at least of where I'm at. So I've just been watching a lot of anything. But I did watch this movie called Tangerine. I told you about. It's directed and written by Sean Baker. I don't know why I had not seen this movie before. Came out in 2015. It's fantastic. I think it's really good, and I would recommend that to some people. I would recommend that too. Some other people might not like the content in it, and that's on them. That's their thing.
Give it a shot.
Maybe give it a shot. Maybe you like it. But then the other movie that I wanted to mention that I've watched is a crime caper movie, but kind of not even about crime, like in the way like you want it to be. We're about like bank robbers and stuff like that. It's called The Friends of Eddie Coyle. It's about this like old mobster guy in 1970s Boston, and he's like working with the feds and giving up names about people that are giving guns to all these bank robbers. So it's kind of a lot of talking and a lot of just manipulation and stuff like that. It's just of a good era in the 70s when crime was not always super flashy and everything, but really freaking loved and enjoyed that movie. That was a fun one. So that's my other recommendation for the week. But next week, we should be back on schedule. No problem. We are going to be doing the Danny DeVito film Renaissance Man. It is streaming on VOD right now, so you can purchase it. I do know that some of these other movies might be a little bit harder to find, but Renaissance Man you can find anywhere, Amazon, Apple, wherever you rent your movies from. But we're going to be doing that one. It's going to be a fun one, hopefully, even though I think the ratings on it or reviews on it are not great, but I love this movie. Spoilers, and I can't wait to talk about it next week. And so that's it. So thank you, Alyssa. Thank you, chat, and everybody that's joined us and followed and subscribed and everything. Join us on socials. Join us on Discord. Discord, we've got all the names of the movies for our bonus content at the end of the month, so do check that out. We're doing SNL Sucks month, so we've got some really funny, terrible movies on there for us to check out. So keep up with that on our Discord, and I think that's all my spiel. We'll see you next time, next week.